What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to look at the Toyworld Constructor vehicle and bot modes. So in a recent video I take a look at the Toyworld Constructor combine mode. He comes in the box that way, ready to combine. There's a reason for that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to go over this just because I haven't really shown this. I did do a review way back when, but I want to do a full review. I'm going to try to transform these on camera. We'll see how that goes. It also comes with this book. I didn't really show this. Nice instruction book. Goes through each bot mode. It even shows you how to get to the combined mode, but it doesn't tell you how to put the whole thing together, which is really bizarre. It doesn't have a full, combining Devastator instruction, which is kind of strange. You do get collector's cards like this. They're credit card style. It's got the stats back there. They are numbered C01X through C06X, and then you get a card for Devastator. Really nice card, actually. C07. But since they're numbered here and they have an order to them, we're going to go in this order that you see in front of you. So we're going to start with Bulldozer, and we'll get into his vehicle mode and then get him transformed and look at his bot mode. So without further ado, let's get started. And here we have Bulldozer in his vehicle mode. Let's take a quick 360. You can see there's some details, some paint on here. So on the front, you got some details there. You got the construction details there, some paint, a little bit of yellow paint there, and black paint. On the back, you got some lights, tail lights there. You do have this, if you look under here, you've got this translucent purple plastic here for, I guess, what would be, I don't even know, a window. And then underneath that, there's some silver painted pieces. Kind of hard to show you, but through that. I got some lights up here on the top. Pretty good looking overall. You do get articulation and some movement here, so the tracks do roll, but not if you try to roll it like this. So other than that, you can move this shovel. It's kind of hindered here a little bit because you can't really go up, but you can do this. You can move it up and down like that. That's basically it for the articulation for this guy. So, pretty good looking. Let's get an image of the G1 cartoon there so you can take a look at how it looks against the vehicle mode. Pretty good, but not quite G1, just a resemblance. So let's just get this guy transformed. I will say the transformations aren't fun. That's just my feeling. And there we have him transformed up. This is probably the worst of the lot, and I'll explain. The tolerances are really bad, especially on these legs. So it tends to fall over as you're posing it and you're trying to get it to stand up. So it's really quite irritating to deal with. And in addition to that, the tracks issue that I showed you, you have this little piece here that's supposed to hold the tracks on, but they tend to come off, and that's part of the issue with this guy. But let's go over articulations. The head is on a ball joint, looks like. So you get a little bit up, a little bit of down, and the panel actually moves too, so you get a lot of down. There's the head sculpt. I don't know. It looks okay. Got light piping. It's a little bit dated at this point, given how old this mold is, and they've remolded this thing a billion times, but the head sculpt is okay. By the way, I'm going to put the G1 cartoon up there so you can take a look. You do have a rotation at the shoulder. You have a joint out that way. You have a double jointed elbow, gets you up to there. Rotation at the hand. You've got individually articulated fingers on a ball joint, but they're all kind of spindly and weird, and they're very fragile, so you got to be careful with them. The thumb also is on a ball joint, and they do move, and the real purpose is to get the gun in there, but the gun is just a handle. And honestly, I don't even want to bother looking at which gun goes with which character. There are 6 different guns in there. But there's a slot in the gun, and you basically slot that onto a tab in the hand, and that's how he holds it. I don't think this is his gun, but it doesn't matter. There you go. There's him holding his gun. Continuing on, you have a rotation at the waist, No ab crunch. You do have rotation at the thigh all the way up to there, all the way down to there, but that joint doesn't do anything at all. Tiny bit of out, but it's hindered. You get a 90-degree bend at the knee, and you pray that you don't break the tracks. You do get an ankle tilt, although it's two separate pieces for the heel and the toe. And then you get an ankle pivot this way. So you can make all that work. It just is very, very irritating to pose. So there you go. There is Bulldozer. All right, next we'll take a look at Unearth. Here he is. This is the other arm. It has the same tracks as the other one. Let's take a quick 360 so we can take a look. You got a little light there, some paint details, black and yellow taillights. Some nice detailing here on the top. Pretty good looking overall. It does have some articulation, so you can move this. If you fold this up, you can get it all the way down to there, all the way up to there, and this articulates that much, and then this articulates. I really do like how they've got the pistons. Looks like they're actually working pistons, so it's really cool. I like to look at that a lot. So overall, pretty nice detail. You do get the rolling tracks, although this has the exact same problem as the other one. They tend to fall off. But in general, pretty nice looking. We'll put the G1 cartoon there so you can take a look and see how it stacks up against the cartoon. Not too bad. When we get to robot mode, that's where we'll see some differences. And here we have Unearth in his robot mode. And he actually looks pretty good, but he has a really hard time standing. So just like the, what was his name? Whatever they called him. Bulldozer. He's got legs that are floppy and they're not tight at all. And it's because it's on a ball joint. I could probably even just pull it off the ball joint if I wanted to. And put some future floor polish in there and just get it tightened up. But and you see these legs just, they don't want to stay together. They're just constantly coming apart, and it's really a disappointment with this. Is these two bots especially are very, very irritating to deal with just because of the legs. He's also back heavy because of this tail, his actual shovel there, so that makes him lean back. And then on top of that, the leg joints aren't very strong, so he tends to lean back. But let's go over his articulation. So his head is on a ball. No, it's a rotating swivel, so you get up to there, but for whatever reason, it springs back into place. Oh, man. It rotates all the way around. Pretty nice looking head sculpt. I think it looks okay. By the way, I'll put the G1 cartoon over there. You do get a rotation on the arm all the way around. You can get the arm up to here, opening up that joint. And it is a, let's see, double jointed? Yes, double jointed elbow. So you can get all the way up to there. It does get kind of ugly if you bring it down. I mean, that's the same thing we had with Bulldozer, but if you push it in a little bit, it looks a little nicer. So that's not too bad. Oops. Okay, and you do have a waist rotation, although it's a little bit hindered by this back piece here. You do have legs can go up to there, go back all the way. The knee bends 90 degrees, and the tracks bend with it. You have an ankle tilt, you have an ankle pivot, and you have a thigh rotation. Forgot about that. And this has the same kind of deal as the other one. Two separate, independent for the heel and the toe. You can get imposed. It's just because the legs don't hold, he tends to flop around. And again, I don't know whose gun is whose. I don't really care because they all... I suppose they are built to go with a specific bot, but I'm not going to waste time trying to get the right weapon for the right guy. We'll just give him a weapon, see how he looks. There you go. So there is Unearth. Looks pretty nice. He's got some nice detail on him, but there's a lot of kibble, and also he's very back heavy, which causes his leg joints to fail. So similar problem that we had with the Bulldozer. So that's really it for this side. Let's get on to the next one. All right, next we have Burden. Here's his collector's card. All of these cards are really nice looking, by the way. They have nice artwork, and they're nice thick credit card style. There's that. Here is the vehicle mode. Let's take a good look. This is probably one of the better looking compared to the others. I just like the way this looks. But going around the detail, you do have this translucent headlights here. You got the grille. You got some nice detail here on the bumper. By the way, we'll put the G1 cartoon there so you can take a look. You got some nice paint detail here. You got the painted, I think they're just plastic, but painted rims. By the way, these wheels on the back are very, very, I just don't feel good. So you gotta be careful with those. They're on a very thin piece of plastic. And they kind of move a lot. So when you roll them, they all roll really nicely. They just feel kind of weird. But by the way, I forgot to roll the other two. Here's the back. You do get this. I forgot to mention that we do have some accessories. So you get these. These are intended for his robot mode for the bottom of his feet, but you can also fit them here. There's a little peg on each side, and that fits into the side of the dump truck. And then you can peg these together, and there you go. He's got a nice little cover for his dump truck. And that's nice. You can also take the ab filler pieces, these two pieces right here, and I forget which way it goes, either this way or the other way. Let's see. 50-50 shot. I got it. So you can get those on there, and that you can tow those around. You can also put some of the other stuff on there if you really wanted to. You could put this here and have him towing that around. Although this fits on another vehicle, so we're going to take a look at that. You can also take this gun and put that on there. So he can really carry a lot of stuff. It's nice that they made a way to integrate all these extra parts onto the vehicle. And there may even be a way for him to carry the arms or the forearms in the robot mode. But nice that they did that. And it's a nice looking truck bed. It's got the detail here. All of it looks really, really well done. So pretty good vehicle. Let's get this transformed into his robot mode. And here we have Burden, all transformed up. Sorry, I haven't been saying their real names and saying their fake Toyworld names, but he's long haul. So let's take a quick 360. He looks really good. We'll put the G1 cartoon over there. Got some yellow paint and black paint kind of all over. I don't remember if the original had the black paint here on the hip skirts, but that does look nice. The waist swivel is very loose, so that's how it is. By the way, none of these have these Decepticon logos. I put those on myself. A pretty nice head sculpt. I think they did a good job with that. You can get in close on that. Good looking head sculpt. I like that. So continuing on to the back, pretty clean, not a lot of backpack. You got this little panel here, which looks fine. Got some details here on the arm, those little silver pieces. All in all, pretty nice looking figure. Let's go over articulation. The head is on a rotating swivel. It's very tight, so be careful. He's got translucent red eyes there. You've got the arm on this joint here, but also you can move this here, so you can get them all the way up to there if you need to. That's a nice joint. You got a rotation here. You got a rotation of the bicep. I might have been forgetting that articulation in the other pots. 90-degree bend at the elbow on a ratchet for some weird reason. Very strong ratchet. I'm going to try this hand because this thumb is broken. So the hand rotates, but it's extremely tight, almost like breakable tight. These thumbs have little tiny pieces of plastic holding them in, so you got to be very careful with these thumbs. They're easy to break off. Actually, all these fingers, honestly, are very thin and spindly. They're not held in very well. They kind of remind me of like old KFC hands. All right, moving on, you have a waist rotation, very loose. You can get a fake backwards ab crunch, but nothing forward. Open up these hip skirts here on all three sides. You get up to there. You can get back to here and out to there, all on friction joints. You get a rotation at the thigh. You can actually get a little more than 90 degrees. It's a double jointed knee, but because of the wheel, it doesn't get much further than that. If you move the wheel out of the way, maybe, let's see. Yeah, you can get them all the way up to there. So plenty of articulation there on the leg, mostly because of transformation, but you can get it up. Ankle tilt, ankle pivot, lots and lots of articulation there. Tons of articulation on that ankle. Which, you know, oddly, compared to his other robots, he's got a lot more. This head is kind of strange. It doesn't look like it's screwed together, just sort of press fit together, which is very odd because he tends to come apart here in the back. But all in all, pretty good looking. Of all of them, he's one of the better looking. Yeah, and I'm just going to grab a random gun and unfortunately put it in this hand because that hand, the thumb is going to fly off. I'll probably just glue that thumb in permanently and leave it. I don't care. It's never going to be in bot mode, so it doesn't matter too much. There you go. He holds the gun nicely and looks good. So that's really it for the bot mode. I do like this one. I'm happy that they included this because he's very unstable without those. He tends to fall backwards, but with those he's much more stable. So I'm glad they included that with this set. So that's really it for this guy. Let's move on to the next one. So next we have Alligator, and this is their version of Hook. Here is his collector's card. Pretty nice looking card, as all the rest of them. And very nice looking detail. Again, G1 cartoon over there. I love the wheels on these. They all look really good and they all roll really nicely. Although this one's kind of rickety, I don't know. It looks like one of the wheels is misshapen. But they do roll pretty nice. They have nice detail and paint. You got the detail here for the stops. Got some headlights, translucent. All of them have this translucent glass. More lights here on the back. You got tail lights. This one has a little bit more articulation, so you can get it all the way up to there. That goes pretty high. Actually, let's see. Get the camera up. Now that I have a camera that moves up, I can do this. So you can get it all the way up to there, which is nice. That goes pretty high. You get articulation here on the end. Let's bring this back down. So you do get articulation here on the end, and this hook also can move all the way up back and all the way forward. So pretty nice articulation on this hook. This is actually one of the better articulated versions of hook I've ever seen in terms of the actual boom. But that's really it for the articulation. Overall, all in all, a pretty nice looking vehicle. This is one of my favorites out of the set. I would say this and probably Mixmaster are my two favorite out of the entire set. They're the best looking vehicles, and the robot modes are decent. So let's get this guy transformed into his robot mode. All right, and here we have Alligator in his robot mode. Pretty nice looking. Let's take a quick 360. He's got a nice translucent chest there. There is, some of them have a little spot underneath. This one doesn't, so I put the Decepticon logo on top. Got some yellow paint, silver paint, kind of accents there. Looks really good. The arms do have this little panel on the back, but it's not too intrusive. It does stick out a little bit, but it gets out of the way, so that's good. By the way, I was able to get these in. I'm afraid to try to take them out. I'm going to use a spudger to get them out because I'm definitely thinking those pegs are probably going to break if I'm not too careful. Here's the back, pretty clean. He does have the boom sticking out, but if you wanted to, you could push it back here, but then that makes him a little back heavy, so it's better if you have it downwards like that. I don't mind that at all. Pretty good for what they've got going here. Not too bad of a backpack. Like I said, this is one of my favorites out of the entire set. He looks really good in his robot mode. I think they did a great job. Let's do his articulation. So the head is again on a rotating swivel, so you can get up to there. Some of them, the panel actually moves too. I don't know if intentionally or not. So let's see if you get this up. That might prevent that from. Yeah, so now the panel doesn't move as much. So you get a little bit less movement, but it tends to fall in, so I don't know. Everything is like that on this. Just a little, the tolerances are just not that well done. Rotation at the shoulder, a little bit hindered because of the backpack here. You can get them up like that. You have a rotation at the bicep, but it feels and sounds absolutely horrible, so I'm not going to bend that anymore. You have a 90-degree bend here at the elbow. A little loose for my taste, but it's okay. You get a rotation at the wrist. All the fingers are the same as all the others. Single ball joint for each finger. Okay, moving on to the waist, you have a waist rotation, no ab crunch. You can move these hip skirts out of the way. You get all the way up to there, all the way back to there, out to here. If you move this panel out of the way, you get a 90-degree bend. With that panel in place, it doesn't allow you to bend. So you can push that panel down if you want it to be articulated. You can just leave those down, and that'll let you get the full articulation. And then you also have a ankle tilt all the way out to there, this way as well, and up and down. So nice movement there. So there you have Alligator. And again, we'll give him a random gun because I can't be bothered to find out whose gun is whose. Maybe during the next break Okay, so this can't be right. It's got to be the other way. Can't imagine. And this is starting to feel like it's going to break, so. Alright, well, we're going to leave that alone because last thing I'm going to do is break this just to show you the gun. That would be dumb. But all in all, it looks pretty good. There he is, Alligator. Hopefully I put the G1 cartoon up there for you to look at. So let's move on to the next one. And next we have Shovel. And here's the vehicle mode. We'll put the cartoon up there. This is another one of my favorites just because I love the way the vehicle looks and I like the robot mode. Of all of them, a lot of them have issues, and this is the one that's just kind of beefy and doesn't seem to have too much. Anyway, let's take a quick 360. You again have some nice details, black paint, silver paint in there. Nice big wheels. This one really rolls really nicely. And you got black paint here, yellow paint here. Good details on this overall. Some tail lights there. Some headlights up here on this. You can move this around, although you really want that upwards. This articulates really nicely, so you get that movement, you get that movement there, and then you get this movement. So 3 points of articulation on that shovel. So I really like that. You can get him lifting stuff up. You can put robots in there. Here he is with smokescreen. Pretty good scale. I like that a lot. So all in all, one of my favorite robots of all of them. You can do the old G1 thing. You can take the chest plate here, and there's 2 pegs on the back. You see there's 2 holes here. You can mate those up, and this can sit right on the back of his truck, and you can drive around with it. And why is this not staying? Oh, there we go. It's pretty firm. And then you can move these little cannons around, which is really neat. I like that. If you want, you can fold these back like that, and you can have that look, but I think this looks better. So I like that feature a lot. I think that's just a cool little thing they included there. You know, a nod to the G1 toy. All right, let's get this guy transformed into his robot mode. But there you have Shovel in his robot mode. And pretty nice looking robot. Let's take it to 360. You got some nice paint here in the front, a couple of translucent pieces, some paint here. What is happening here? Look at this. I don't know if that screw just came loose. I'll probably fix that off camera, but you've got nice red and silver accents here. You got black paint here, so again yellow and silver in there. Pretty clean back, other than the big shovel, which is cartoon accurate. Hopefully I put the cartoon up there already. So looking really good, and I really like the head sculpt on this guy. I think that he did a good job. He's casting a shadow on himself. So there's the head sculpt. Looks pretty good. Again, random gun. And they all fit in the same way. They all have this little tab inside the hand versus in the actual gun, which is different. Oh, these fingers, man, I don't feel good at all. All right, I did take a look at this shoulder off camera, and the screw is tightened as much as it can be. So yet another problem with this set is loose joints randomly. Look at this one, though. This one's fine, so I don't know. Let's get into articulation. Again, the head is on a rotating swivel. It doesn't get up too high or down too low, but the whole panel kind of flips open, and it does that. It goes into his own chest. You have a lot of articulation on this arm, so because the way it's designed, you can push it up against the side, or you can have it sticking out. You can get it all the way up to there, although this one's a little loose. You get a rotation at the top of the elbow. You get a ratcheted elbow up to here. Mostly that's because it's used as the part of the leg, part of the foot. So they want that to be strong. They put the right hardware in the right place for combined mode, but they didn't put the right hardware in the right place for the robot mode, which really drives me insane. You got a rotation here at the waist, no ab crunch. Get these hip skirts out of the way, and you have legs that go up to there. They are pretty heavy. Goes back to there and out to there. It's not even close to holding its own weight. Rotation at the thigh, really nice rotation at the thigh. 90-degree bend at the knee. It's all the way back to there. You get a really big ankle rocker and ankle tilt all the way, any direction you would ever want. So just some strange choices here and there for hardware and for materials, but a pretty good looking version of this guy. So that's really it for this guy. Let's move on to the next one. And last but not least, we have Concrete, or their Mixmaster. Here is his collector's card. Again, nice animation there. And this is my favorite of the entire set in terms of the vehicle mode. Actually, maybe even the robot mode, but I like them both. I must have something not... Okay, there we go. And it looks really good. I don't know why it's not rolling evenly. I must have something... Oh, there we go. I have something a little bit off there. Here you go. And you do have this feature here. We can wind that up, and then it turns on its own. I don't know. I could do without that. It's kind of silly. I don't need those kind of features on my stuff. You do have these spikes that do fire if you press this button right here. So we're just going to leave those off for now because as we're playing this, it's probably going to fire. But I love the contrast of the purple, the shiny purple. And again, this is not painted. This is a shiny plastic. The yellow is painted, but the purple is just a shiny plastic. That looks really good. If you don't like this gigantic Decepticon logo, which is really more intended for the combined mode, right? It's on the bottom of his foot, and it shows up on the bottom when he's in combined mode. But if you don't like it, you can kind of unpeg this here. You can take this off. You could actually store it if you want to. There's a little spot right in there on the front of this. So if you wanted to put it there temporarily, you could. But I don't mind it. I kind of like the symbol there. But it really is intended for the combined mode. Okay. Nice details. I got some yellow lights up here. Got the silver grill paint there. Translucent purplish windows. I like the contrast of the colors here. You got the same kind of wheels. They roll really nicely. More of that construction yellow and black. I'm not sure what's happening here. Doesn't seem to be tabbed in perfectly. Oh, there we go. It wasn't tabbed in all the way. So really a beautiful truck mode. I forgot to mention that with Alligator that this gun does peg into Alligator on the side, but all of them can kind of fit, you know, different parts if you want to. All right, so that's really it for the vehicle mode. Again, I really do like it. Here he is with smoke screen. Looks good to me. All right, so let's get him transformed. This one is a little bit more complicated, I would say, than some of the others. And there you have Concrete all transformed up into his robot mode. Very, again, good looking, but definitely some issues. So let's take a quick 360 G1 cartoon over there. Got some paint detail. You got the translucent purple plastic. There is a spot for the Decepticon logo in there, so I did put it in. Hopefully you can see that right there. Nice head sculpt on this one. I really like the look of this head sculpt. And then if you get the light just right, the light piping does come through, and it's got the perfect little smirk on it. So that's one of my favorites of this set. And you can see he tends to fall back like this. I don't know what they were thinking with this design. They left a huge gap back here. I was trying to figure out, I watched a bunch of videos to see if maybe I was doing something wrong, or I don't know, but I was trying to jerry-rig it even to see if I could get it to stay up, but it just doesn't. I mean, it just falls down. I'm not really sure what the deal is there, like why this is designed that way. I watched a bunch of videos to see if, you know, was it just me, or is this something with all of them? And I saw a few other people talking about this on the original release, that this leg moves like this. It's really meant to rotate here at this joint on the top. And it's supposed to get that movement, but it ends up falling here, which is very, very silly. I don't know why they couldn't have made some kind of lock for that. If you know it's different than me, let me know in the comments below, but I haven't been able to find out how to lock that in place. Speaking of, let's go into articulations of the head. Again, on a rotating swivel, although it's got that same problem where some piece of plastic is pushing it back down. Another tolerance issue there. You got shoulders go all the way up to there, mostly for transformation, but it does. They do rotate around, but this tends to get in the way, so you just got to kind of tuck that up underneath. Almost kind of like Galvatron's hands. He's got kibble hanging off of it. I don't remember if that's G1 accurate or not. I mean, you can look at that image in the corner. But you get up to there, you get a rotation at the bicep. You get a 90 degree bend at the elbow with a ratchet. You get a wrist swivel, but it is so tight, I don't want to move it. I actually can't move it. I'm not sure why it's so tight. But these, like I told you before, these fingers are very delicate, and so I'm not going to risk breaking it just to move it. You do not have waist swivel here or ab crunch. You do get side to side, and that's really part of the combined mode, but you can use it here in the robot mode, so that's interesting. If you put these out of the way, you get the leg up to there. Again, soft friction joint there. You get a rotation at the thigh. You get what's supposed to be a knee bend, but it just doesn't work right because the whole thing tends to do this. You get once again, very nice ankle tilt and ankle pivot on these feet. All the feet are really nice, but these legs, man, that just ruins what could have been such a good figure. And then the finishing touch for this guy, you really want to put these back in because that's kind of his signature look. I don't remember if this is a toy thing or this is a G1 thing or if it's a cartoon thing, but I think it looks good with those in there, so I would leave them in there. It's got a hair trigger right there, so just be careful with that. It does fire pretty rapidly. Yeah, this just bothers me that these legs, you can't stand firm. Oh, it's such a good looking bot, but the failing is the legs. All right, so let's get all the bots back in here for final thoughts. So final thoughts on this set here. You get a lot for your money here. This is originally a $400 box set. This version that I bought, the X version, is $500. And this, I believe it's a TF Source exclusive, but I don't even know how much exclusive it really is. They say there's 300 limited worldwide, but they're still selling it. So how could it be 300 worldwide? They also say there's improved track design. And actually, this is one of the most irritating things on the whole set. Both of these tracks fall off and break off, and they're just very irritating to deal with. They don't break, I'm sorry, they just come off. And the legs themselves, I did fix them. I put some floor polish in there, so that's made it a lot better. But in general, they're just very irritating. That's another thing. The guns just tend to be very loose in the hands, and they pop off. But this is really the only masterpiece scale set of Constructicons that we have. We've got the Generation toy. I think they're a little too small in their combined mode, so that's kind of where they failed. But as far as this set is concerned, do I recommend it? For robot modes, I don't. I really don't. They've got too many issues. The hands, for one, are breakable. There's a lot of little joints and pieces that don't have good fitment. The tolerances are very poor, right? They've got some things are so tight that you can't even move it, and other things that are so loose that it doesn't stand up, or it just falls, stuff like that. So as individual bots, they look okay. A couple of them are a little bit better than others, but then there's some things that just really, it's like they mixed and matched hardware, and the quality is so spotty that I just can't recommend them for robot mode. For combined mode, obviously I recommend it. It's the best Devastator out there. I think it's better than Generation Toy. I think it's better than the predecessors that came before it. It's really the only one of this size. So that's the primary reason to get this set, is for the combined mode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.